Alright, so here we are in Monza for the second last race of the season, bringing back our driver card, 76 rating so far, with a 132.951 for our first run of the day, provisional P1. We're still sitting in P1 as of right now, but we're caught behind Victor Martins, so we were up a few hundredths of a second, but that toe did not help us at all. 132.959.
The grid is set then, that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action. Until then, goodbye. So it's all about speed in today's sprint race then. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Monza is one of the faster circuits in Formula 2, comprising some very long straights and tight chicanes. The engine spends so long at full throttle, in fact, that engine failures are not an uncommon sight here. On top of that, the 3.6 miles of track are pretty hard on the gearbox too. And we welcome you to the Formula 2 commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me for this one is Mr. Alex Brundle. And we've got this format in Formula 2, Alex, where the top 10, they get reversed from qualifying to form our grid. So the mid-order in qualifying now become contenders for the win.
Well, there were plumes of dust coming off the cars at the beginning of free practice, so not a lot really. Quali's on the other compound of tyre usually. So for the sprint race, you kind of finger in the air, figuring it out.
It was a great time to celebrate the championship earlier in the week, but it's time to get back into focus. You still have a lot to prove for that seat in F1.
And for the second and last time of the season, we're going to straight into the sprint race, starting in P10. 5 red lights are off, and we're actually on to a good start. Beauchamp on the left side, moving in front of us, had to take a little bit of an evasive action, but the back end tries to come out. We keep control of that, sitting in P9 here as well on the inside. See us there a few rows back as we're side by side with Vershoor coming through the first chicane, fighting for P8. So that's going to be P8 through the first few seconds of the race, as we have Miney up ahead in P7, and gonna see if we can make up another position here on the first lap of the sprint race here in Monza. I believe that is Daruvla up ahead, the number 2 car. And there we are coming through this second chicane, coming through the back half of the track, which I had to really watch out for these corners, missing the braking points here and there. Yes, we're already down about 7/10 behind Miney, and that corner into the DRS straight, we lose a lot more time, another 2/10 or so already, 0.931, and getting a little bit of time there, around the same on that straight, before we get up to this next braking point, and we're coming up out of the last Ascari chicane to the final right-hander to the start-finish straight. So 1.1 is the gap between myself and Miney here on the first lap. We lost a lot of time there through the end of Sector 2, start of Sector 3, and we're looking to gain that as we do, about 4/10 gained or so. It's not going to be enough to make a move here on the start of lap 2. It's going to be towards the end of lap 2, coming to the same exact corner, braking point about 100-meter marker, and pushing on the outside of Miney, so almost making contact with him. He's keeping the car under control. We're holding the outside line, and we still have another lap until we get DRS, so we're going to be using the toe from Miney to make a late move here on the first turn. We are still a ways away, but Miney knew better than to cover us off before the braking zone, so we get a free position up into P7 here on the start of lap 3. You see Hauger and Benavides going back and forth for positions, as next up is Pourchaire. By the end or start of lap 4 is when we're actually able to get an opportunity to go against Pourchaire, as we are coming up to the second chicane here at the end of Sector 1. I don't know where the lines are. I really need to do my research. make a dive bomb on the inside. No contact as of yet, but we have to give way to Pourchaire through that corner, but we do get the power down a lot faster than Pourchaire. So that's P6 on lap 4 of the sprint, coming through this double right-hander where we had trouble in the first lap. You see the gap is 1.2, and we're slowly closing that gap between Vesti. Lap 6 now, start of lap 7. You can see Vesti is way up there. That's going to be a 3 wide momentarily, which I believe was from the front runners. So Baron, Martins, Daruvula, Awasa, and Vesti. So we're right here with the front runners on the start of lap 6. We're going to have that momentum on the outside of Vesti. Going to give him plenty of space as we move in to try to make a move on Awasa. I thought about doing a late break move on the inside of Awasa, but I didn't want to cause any damage or unnecessary tire wear. So we're going to go ahead and wait on that move against Awasa, as we're over halfway through this sprint race, and that is Pourchaire on the inside of the previous corner. You saw him pulling off to the side. That's going to be an engine failure for Pourchaire, which helps us in the fight for the constructors standings, as now we have Martins to deal with. Lap 7, start of lap 7. We're going to make that same outside move that we did Vesti here through sector 1 up to the second chicane. Behrman still holding onto the lead as of right now against Martins, as we're side by side with Vesti. He goes over the curb, we go over the curb as well. We have the inside. Awasa should have had better grip on the out of that corner, but we got the power down a lot faster. So track limits warning there, our first one of the race, but it's going to be up on another second between myself and Daruvula. So we're going to have to wait for that opportunity, which is going to be at the start of the next lap here on lap 8. Daruvula is actually behind Martins trying to make a move. That's 3 wide, momentarily coming into 1. Daruvula thought about it, so lock up from Daruvula and Behrman, and we wait for our opportunity. So we're going to be coming out of that first chicane. Martins breaking away up in the lead as Behrman and Daruvula are side by side. Behrman slightly ahead as we're coming up to the second chicane. And we're looking to try to make a move, see what we can do, but we're going to go ahead and let the toe get up into us. We're going to be pushing Behrman through the corner. A little bit of an unnecessary move for possible front wing damage. Luckily, we didn't get any, but that's an easy move for us up into P3 behind Behrman. And that puts Behrman, the only person between myself and Martins for this sprint race. As we're coming through Sector 2, we're going to get DRS. We're going to try to close that gap that is increasing to Behrman. The end of lap 8 now, start of lap 9. We're going to stay within that half a second or so. And with the toe and DRS, we're going to be able to breeze by Behrman here down the main start-finish straight. Up into P2. And we're going to see about looking to make a move on Martins, even though he is about 2 seconds, just under 2 seconds, now 2 seconds as we make that mistake coming out of the first chicane. 2.4 in increasing because we let the back end get too far out, as now we have to turn focus on defending against Behrman. The end of lap 9, Behrman and Daruvula are going to have DRS and toe, so they're going to be making a move on the inside. We're going to hold the outside line. You see Behrman there on the right, Daruvula there on the right, close behind. There wasn't enough room for Daruvula to get between us, so that's side by side for P3. Inside, back end comes out a little bit, giving Daruvula some room on the outside of that turn, and they give way, so we're still sitting at P3 with just under 2 laps to go here on lap 10, coming through to the second chicane of the track. And we're looking to close that gap on Behrman and try to get into P2 before the end of this race, as we have 2 more DRS zones, or 3, or I guess 3, I would say, with the Sector 2, Sector 3 straight here with DRS, and then the start finish. But here is our final attempt, lap 10, start to a lap 11, the final lap of the race. We're going to make a slight breeze against Behrman, and we're choosing an unorthodox line. You saw that we went through the grass there, but we're going to make that move up into P2 against Behrman, and we're going to hold on to P2 as our back end slips out again for the rest of this race. Too large of a margin for us to catch up to Martins, so we're going to hold out on P2 for this sprint race.
He has left the field behind. He is heading to the top step. Victor Martins takes the checkered flag.
It might not be the same points as the feature race, but it is the same podium, and they get to wave at the fans from it.
ART, the French team who have been racing since the 90s in various forms of motorsport, are once again back on the winner's podium today after a brilliant display of driving skill. After all this drama, you'll be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care. Hello and welcome back to a classic circuit, familiar to fans the world over. This is Monza. You can hear the cars ready to go. Certainly the fans are ready for some action. We're all set. So let's get this Formula 2 race underway. Monza is situated 12 miles northeast of Milan. It's 3.6 miles long and offers 11 corners. 7 of those are chicanes, putting a premium on good braking stability and traction. With a good slipstream plus the other 2 DRS zones available, there should be a good number of passing opportunities on offer. So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's results with a look at the starting grid. Johnson lines up on pole position. Ralph Boschung lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Miney, for sure. Teo Porcher, Vesti, Awasa, Martins, Behrman, Jan Deruvala, Hauger, Benavides, Arthur Leclerc, Clement Novalak, Hadjar, Stanek, Crawford, Enzo Fittipaldi, Nissani, Maloney, Cordial, and Juan Manuel Correa completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Hello one, hello all, and welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes, he is Alex Brundle, and we have changeable conditions today, Alex. How does that uncertainty affect the strategy?
There are going to be some quivering hands on the tyre guns, aren't there, when they tighten up what could easily be the wrong specification of tyre completely for the conditions. It's a gamble out there.
That was a strong fight in the sprint. If we manage to finish ahead of both ARTs, we'll have a decent buffer for the Constructors' Championship in Abu Dhabi.
The formation lap gets underway for this, the Formula 2 race, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure the car is ready for battle once the lights go out.
All right, there are our race strategies as we are pulling up to the grid box. P1, starting on the outside, very long start-finish straight here in Monza to defend our position. We just have to make sure that we get a good launch as we see the rest of the cars pulling up to their grid slots. You can see our teammate Cordial there in the very back row. 5 red lights are on. Boschung, Miney, Versure close behind in the first 2 rows, and we're off to a good start. Boschung and Miney off to a good start as well, but the gap is about less than 3/10 already. You can see Boschung is close behind in the tow. A lot of people moving on to the inside. I don't know what was going on in their heads, but we managed to cleanly make our way through the first chicane with about a 4/10 gap on Boschung. So we're holding on for now, and we see that that gap is closing ever so slightly because of our pace, and I don't know really. These drivers had, I don't really know how to explain it. It's been really hard to figure out, really, is with the I guess it's the AI level specifically, because I qualified only less than 2/10 ahead of Boshung, and then you see the gap closing, and then you see the gap opening up more. But down the main straights, we definitely seem to not have enough setup towards the straight line speed. But we're definitely gonna have to use that to our advantage through the corners. You can see we're off the line here, so we're moving up to the final few quarters. The gap has increased to 6/10 or so around Boshung. We like to have our advantage in the corners, and as long as we get a good launch out of the corner, we are okay in the straights. You see we're losing a tiny bit of time there on the main straight. First lap was a clean one. Lap 3 coming to the end of lap 3. When DRS is active, you see Boshung has closed that gap thanks to DRS. And Verschoor and Vesti are close behind to try to make a move. Everyone's still single file. As we see people choosing where they want to be on the track, I have Boshung and Verschoor still falling behind, and I believe Vesti and Porcher were on the inside. That's going to be an easy pass from Boshung. He has the inside, we're going to give him the space, and it's going to be side by side through the first chicane here as we start lap 4. And we still have so much more race to go, so we're going to let Boshung hold on to that position. The end of lap 4, we have the tow, we have the DRS. It's going to be an easy pass on Boshung for the lead. We just have to watch out for Verschoor. And Vesti close behind. You can see a lot of the cars behind us moving around and seeing what they want to do as we then file into single file. That is Boshung side by side with Verschoor, choosing the inside. See if Verschoor can possibly take advantage of that, and not quite yet, as we're here on lap 5, moving on to the end of lap 5, where Boshung and Verschoor have another attempt on this DRS straight. This time we're going to be holding the inside line, and looks like we only have to worry about Boshung. We'll have to wait and see. You can see everyone's pretty much 3 wide or so. Boshung choosing the inside line, we chose the outside once again, so we have the inside corner through this chicane, and once again we give Boshung the advantage as we can make another attempt later on in the lap. But we're gonna go ahead and make that move a little bit early if we can. We thought about it. We thought about doing a late break. Back end tried to come out on us. If you guys noticed how we were counter steering, but the end of lap 6, we're still going to make that attempt on Boshung. We're basically just leapfrogging throughout this race as we have our first set of pit stops. We elected to go on the overcut for our pit strategy as we make a move on the inside of Boshung. We have the momentum to get ahead, and we're single file into the first chicane. So you see all of the position changes for the first pit stops as the top 11 or 12 or so, I don't quite remember where Correa was, stayed out for the second round of pit stops as we're coming around the corner. Boshung still pretty close behind us. We have the advantage there on the corner. It's going to take a little bit wider line than we wanted as we're coming into the pits. And I have no doubt that we'll be able to come out front of the grid that we have. But it's our teammate, Cordial, Amari Cordial, I believe. I'm not paying attention this late in the season. I'm just focusing on my drive and my race rather than my teammate. Stays out for an extra lap to try to make a big overcut to possibly get into the points. So we're going to be ahead of Behrman. Boshung loses the position on Behrman. They most likely had a pit issue. As you can see, Vesti and Verschoor just zooming past us. I believe that was Vesti on the inside as we're coming out of the pit lane. We can't cross that white line as we're coming out in P4. So Cordial hasn't pit yet, so we're provisional P3. the end of lap 8, start of lap 9, as Cordial is coming out of the pits. See Vershaw and Vesti fighting there as Vesti's trying to make a move. You can see our teammate Cordial coming out of the pits there in the background, as we're still trying to hold off Pourchaire. And once again, even after the sprint, we have to hold on to as many points as we can for this championship as we continue on with lap 9 ahead of Pourchaire. So we're going to go ahead and go to our commentary box to see what they have to say about today's race.
It has been an exhilarating weekend in Monza for Formula 2, mirroring the excitement of the entire season. The drivers have completed their rounds of pit stops, and now it's a three-way fight for the lead between Vesti, Vershaw, and the newly crowned F2 champion, Johnson.
It's astonishing how swiftly this season has passed, filled with thrilling moments across all series. There have been numerous crashes, engine failures, and much more. Of course, there are still plenty of races left in F1, but that's not the current focus, as we're still looking at the fight for constructors between Virtuosi and ART.
Crofty, I wanted to reach out to you because there's been considerable discussion about the current state of the drivers' market. I'm eager to hear your thoughts before we gain further insights from Will and Nat.
I believe that the F2 grid will undergo significant lineup changes for each team once again. On the other hand, F1 is likely to retain the majority of its grid, as there are only a few seats left to be confirmed.
Only 3 or 4 seats remain unconfirmed on the F1 grid. Nat, could you provide more details and clarify who may be occupying those seats for next season?
With only a few seats left in the backfield, most teams seem set to retain their lineups for the next season, despite numerous seats appearing unclaimed. The buzz around Alpine potentially acquiring Johnson is intriguing, especially considering Ocon's season has not been as strong as Gasly's. Similarly, Williams' Sargent has struggled to score points. Consequently, Johnson might have a couple of options for joining the F1 grid next season if enough teams show interest in picking them up.
I'd have to say that was very well said, Nat. It's always nice to have you share some insight up here in the commentary box. We now turn our attention to the action, where Johnson continues to close in on Vesti and Vershaw for the coveted top podium position.
The struggle among the three competitors continues, yet it seems Johnson is employing his usual strategy of patience. Earlier reports from his pit crew advised conserving the tyres, which likely indicates he's preserving them for the latter part of the race in hopes of gaining the lead. Moreover, the main straight presents a prime opportunity for overtaking, as it is the longest stretch of the track that benefits from the car's DRS and slipstreaming capabilities to surpass the cars ahead, potentially leading to an overtaking attempt at the beginning of the following lap.
And we are nearing that opportunity. Johnson, less than 3/10 back from Vesti, which could set up for a double overtake if there is enough room between the drivers.
Vesti and Vershaw are neck and neck through the final corner, with Johnson close behind, benefiting from their slipstream as they approach the DRS activation zone.
This is a big moment as they come down the straight. Johnson needs first place in order to keep the fight alive for the Constructors' Championship, and he was able to make the move into P1, but can he hold on to it for the remainder of the race? He had a very strong exit out of the first chicane, so I believe he will be able to hold on to yet another win today here in Monza.
Nice one. Very lovely drive. On to the next one.
Oh, superb driving. That is the race win, my friend. Well done.
A great win then for the Virtuosi team today.
Have you seen one quite as dominant as that, Jakesy? I'm not sure I have. They led every single lap of that one, lights to flag.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Virtuosi then are on top today. will be plenty more twists and turns to come this season. I hope you'll join us at the next race when Formula 2 returns.